What's up, vinyl community? It's your boy Chris coming at you live, as always, from the Man Cave. Been a little while since I come to you guys from the Man Cave for a video. The last video, a few videos, I know, was a trio of videos from the most recent RSD drop, and the July drop from our road trip, and Josh's road trip to Raleigh, Durham, North Carolina. Had a blast, got a lot of great stuff. So for any of you guys who want to see any of the stuff that I found, please check out those 3 previous videos to this one. I won't be showing any of those because I still have a fat stack of new stuff other than that to show you guys. For any of you guys, if you're watching, please click like, hit subscribe, and if you'd be so nice as to hit that little bell over there to the right corner and get the notifications from me, I'd be very, 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 very much appreciative of you. I don't make any money off this channel or anything like that. I just like to, hey, if I'm gonna take the time to put these videos out there and talk to records about with you guys, I'd like to get as many of you as I can. It's a great community. I've made a lot of great friends through this community, and I'd like to keep that going. All right, so recent finds, most recent finds. As always, per my usual, gonna start off with some of the more common, more, make no mistake about it. If it's in my collection, if I've got it, it's killer. But some of the more common, maybe cheaper, less rare, and then all the way down to and then some of the stuff towards the bottom of the list is not necessarily very expensive stuff, but it's stuff that was killer to me. So that's the way we're gonna do this. Starting off, because I got a lot of shit to show you, so I'm gonna go ahead and get it started. I got a quartet of Crusaders albums for you guys. Crusaders, Free as the Wind. Great record. It's, some jazz, funk, soul type stuff. Great stuff. Cheap. Southern Comfort, also. Crusaders. Got 2 records set. Very 70s, 80s type deal over there in the corner. The Crusaders. Images. Crusaders, Standing Tall. Again, all 4 good albums. Smoking. Not anything, oh my god, rare or anything like that. Each one of those records is probably a $10 record. Maybe cheaper depending on where you find it at, but they're good stuff and I enjoy the music, so why not get a quartet of Crusaders albums if you are so inclined, if you have the opportunity. So next up is Portrait of the Artist. It's Bob Meyer. It's on Atlantic. Nice sturdy jacket. Good stuff. Nice solid jazz record. Flat out. Thoroughly enjoyed. One thing that I love about so many of the Atlantic jackets is just how sturdy they are. It's great stuff. Drag 'em Out, Shirley Scott on Prestige. Shirley Scott on organ with Major Holly on bass and Roy Brooks on drums. It's a killer record on Prestige again, of course. Any Shirley Scott record, honestly, in my opinion, worth owning. They're usually found for relatively cheap, and they're almost always fire. So this is one of those ones, another one, relatively cheap. If you see it, why not? Wes Montgomery, Bumpin'. Pretty common record. You can usually find it in pretty much any record store you walk in, I would think, that has any kind of a decent jazz selection. I've skimmed over it in the past a few times. Passed over it a few times in the past, but I got this offered to me here recently. Just went ahead and dropped on it because you can't, you really just can't go anything wrong with Wes Montgomery. One of the great guitarists in the history of not just jazz music, but music period. Next up, Lonnie Smith live at Club Mozambique. It's 2 LPs. Blue Note. This is, I think, 90s reissue. Yeah, 1995 reissue. This was reissued not too long ago as part of the Blue Note 80 series, I believe. Passed on it at the time, always intended to come back and grab it, and then I got an opportunity to grab this one for around about the same price as what the classic reissue was going, the Blue Note 80 reissue was going for, and just went ahead and Tonto jumped on this one. It's super clean. Lonnie Smith, guys, soulful, funky jazz. It's great stuff. It's Dave Hubbard, Ronnie Cuber, George Benson, Lonnie Smith, Joe Dukes, Gary Jones, Clifford Mack. It's killer stuff. But if you guys want to get it more accessible, quicker, faster, without waiting or anything like that. Just you know, Blue Night 80. Great reissues. Next up, The Good Life, Willis Jackson. It's on Prestige. Splat Out. This is Birkenfield, New Jersey. With Willis Jackson, you always get soulful, funky, tight, jazz. And that's Willis Jackson on tenor, Frank Robinson on trumpet, Pat Azar on guitar, Carl Wilson on organ, Leonard Gaskin on bass, and Joe Hardick on drums. Really, really good record. Super cool. Next up, more soulful, funky type, jazz type stuff. Fly Dude, Jimmy McGriff. One thing I love about Jimmy McGriff records is they always reek of confidence and the craft and everything of the music. And this is definitely a guy who didn't lack for confidence of being able to put out soulful, funky ass shit. I mean, it's good stuff. It's on Groove Merchant. Phenomenal record. Found for cheap again. If you see it, highly recommend it. Next up, The Hub of Hubbard. And it's Freddy Hubbard. Obviously, I hope that goes without saying. Freddy Hubbard on trumpet, Richard Davis on bass, Eddie Daniels on tenor sax, Roland Hanna on piano, and Louis Haynes on drums. It is a killer record, 1972. Phenomenal stuff. Freddy Hubbard, top 5 in the history of his instrument, in my opinion. Probably, maybe even top 3 on trumpet. I mean, this guy was a trumpeting genius. Great stuff. Anything Freddy Hubbard, for me, is worth a blind buy. You just see the name, then you just buy. You just accept that it's going to be fire, and you just go ahead and go for it. But I've actually been after this one for a while. Scored it courtesy of my boy Marcus. Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. Great stuff. Anytime I can add a Freddy Hubbard record to my collection. Awesome. Next up. Cheers, you guys. Friday. Happy Friday. Rare by Roy Ayers. And as you guys can look in, it's an autographed copy. Not autographed by, to me, not autographed for me. I wasn't there to have it autographed. But a buddy of mine had this copy, autographed copy, my boy Marcus again. Dealt it to me. I love Roy Ayers. Great stuff. It's on Urban Records. It's phenomenal. It's an awesome album. It's cheaper than some of Roy's stuff, but yeah. Nice to have a cool autographed copy in my collection. Next up is Richard Groove Holmes coming on home. It's on Blue Note. It's later Blue Note stuff, so I think this is more along the lines of the United Artists, post Liberty United Artists, type era. As for most Richard Groove Holmes type stuff, it's soulful, funky type jazz. Great stuff, but there's only one problem with it. You see that? That's disgusting. It's that nasty ass, disgusting shrink wrap. Now, a little second record. So bye-bye to that. That is found a forever home at the bottom of the dumpster, where it belongs. Not that I'm passionate about my anti shrink wrap opinion or anything. Next up for me is Rough House Blues by Lou Donaldson. It's arranged and conducted by Oliver Nelson. It's original mono on cadet. What's cool about this one are several things, but for me, number one is a buddy grabbed it for me. So shout out to my boy Tree, a supreme love here on YouTube. Shout out to my boy Tree for snatching this one for me. He was in Colorado Springs on a road trip, looking for records for himself, obviously, but saw this one and thought of me. And I can't even begin to tell you how much I appreciate it, buddy. Lou Donaldson, legend, still with us, legend, one of the greatest ever, in my personal opinion, and the opinion of I can't even begin to tell you how many. This is great stuff. Very happy to have it, man. But yeah, it's one of those ones that's still kind of a hard to find album, but because it's not on Blue Note or anything like that, it's on Cadet, it's still found for reasonable. And Tree, this arrived to me last night. I didn't have time to really delve into it. It arrived to me last night. I'm hoping to get to listen to it tonight. But super clean. I cleaned it again anyway, just because that's just the way I do. I pull an album, brand new album out, clean it before I spin it. And I'm very much looking forward to throwing this one on the platter, hopefully later tonight. Won't have any time to do it this evening, but hopefully later tonight, probably till wee small hours of the morning. Thank you for thinking about me, buddy. I really, really, really appreciate it. Some cool stuff came along with this one. It was, I guess, the guys at Leech Pit Records, where this record was snagged by my boy Tree. Maybe aren't. I can't tell if it's sarcasm or whatever, if they just really don't think that Colorado Springs is that great of an area. But it says, keep Colorado Springs lame. I've never been. Wouldn't been able to tell you. But I know my buddy Tree was excited about his trip to go there. So, I don't know. Maybe it's a joke. Maybe they actually think it's lame. I couldn't tell you. But either way about it. Very happy to have this. Thanks, Tree. I appreciate it. Oh, by the way, I got one more thing to do. Almost forgot. Tree, you know you my boy. You know you my boy. But you also know something about your boy. I hate shrink wrap. Deuces. Her so good. Doesn't that look so much better? Look at that. You can see it. So for all those of you who are like, oh, it protects the cover. You know what else protects the cover? A damn sleeve that I'm getting ready to put it in. Nothing against, you guys who are pro shrink wrap, but I just don't get it. I don't understand why you would be. I don't get it. But what's worse than that are those of you who think your record is worth more because you keep it in the shrink wrap. So let me get this straight. You put a small slit down the side of a piece of plastic to pull your record out, and you think I'm going to pay $15 more, $20 more for it because it's in the shrink. Cancel that shit. I'm tearing it off as soon as I get it. Next up is one I had on the platter just a second ago. It's a great record. I can't recommend it. I can't recommend it enough. Honestly, it's a Guitar Groove, Renee Thomas quintet, killer type stuff. It's on Jazzland, Mono Press. Phenomenal album. I've talked to several people about it earlier today, and I know that there's a lot of you guys who probably don't know much about Renee Thomas or this quintet or this album. It's phenomenal type stuff. What I like so much about it is it's very Kenny Burrell-esque, honestly, with great solos, plenty of attention. Piano chimes in at just the right time. Percussion comes in at just the right time. The album slows down when it needs to slow down, speeds up when it needs to speed up. No solo runs too long for you or anything like that. It's just a really well put together record, in my opinion. And it's one that was a blind buy for me. I just saw it. Saw the label, thought it looked festive, thought it looked nice, recognized the names on the lineup or whatever, and just Tonto jumped on it. And I'm very, very pleased that I did. I cannot recommend this enough for you guys. Guitar Groove, Renee Thomas Quintet. Please do so. As far as some of those names you might recognize, aside from Renee Thomas, of course, on the guitar, is J.R. Montrose on tenor, Teddy Kotick on bass, Albert Heath on drums, Howard O'Brien on the keys. He's a scene stealer in this one, in my opinion. He's a showstopper. But guys, you got to really shine some light on this one because I know there's a lot of you probably watching this video who have no idea what it is. Thank you, Slow Low Records, for putting this in my life. Appreciate you. Next up, I just dropped by to say hello, Johnny Hartman. Original press, by the way, on the stereo, original stereo pressing, by the way. Had that green label type shit. I had that one. So I was very, very welcoming to this upgrade. My boy Ed, if you're watching this, got my green label reissue or whatever. It sounds great. I just don't like the green label. To me, I don't understand if your impulse why you would ever go away from the orange and black. I don't understand why you'd ever go away from that. I just don't. I'm not one who usually keeps a lot of vocal jazz records in my collection, but this one's, got Hank Jones on piano, Illinois Jacket on tenor, Kenny Burrell and Jim Hall on guitars, Milton Hinton on bass, and Elvin Jones on the sticks, and of course, always with Impulse, go shut up the gatefold. It's an absolutely phenomenal record. Very, very pleased to have this original stereo in my collection. Courtesy of my boy Marcus. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Next up is Okay, so it's not one of my favorites by this artist, admittedly, but I love this artist, and everything that he's ever played on to me is worthy of owning, of purchasing, of experiencing. It's Donald Byrd. I'm Trying to Get Home, Brass with Voices, and it's an original stereo pressing on Blue Note. Splat out. It's just one of those records that's kind of sort of all over the place. It's not really doing any one thing. It's like some orchestral type stuff. It's some big band type stuff. It's all kinds of things, but it's a little bit too all over the place for me for reoccurring listening, for frequent revisits, if you will. But it's cool to have. It's nice to have as a part of your collection. It's not one I see shown all the time, if I'm being completely honest with you. But huge lineup: Donald Byrd, trumpet, flugelhorn, Stanley Turrentine tenor, Herbie Hancock on piano, Freddie Roach on organ, Grant Green on guitar, Bob Cranshaw bass, Grady Tate on drums, and then over on the brass you got the trumpets is Ernie Royal, Snooky Young, Jimmy Owens, Clark Terry, Joseph Ferry, the team, Charlie. I mean, there's just, I'm not even done. I'm just, you guys get the picture. There's some big band type, orchestral type stuff, a lot of brass and everything like that. It's a cool record. It's a cool experiment for Donald Byrd and his catalog. But if I'm going for Donald Byrd, I'm going to go through a lot of Donald Byrd records before I get to this one, because he's one of my all-time favorites on his instrument. Probably, he's easily top 5 for me. Top 4 probably Lee Morgan, Clifford Brown, Donald Byrd, and Freddy Hubbard. Yeah, probably top 4. But there's a problem with this one though. Oh yeah. Her so good. Come on, baby, making her so goodbye. Now we'll say it right. Look at that. Doesn't that look better? Doesn't that look better? Take the shirt wrap off. Let your records breathe. Anyway. Or do whatever you want with your records, because they're your records. But you're watching my channel, and this is my opinion, so hey. Next up, Love Lifted Me, Ron Jefferson. It's on Pacific Jazz. Phenomenal record. I was very, 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 very happy to score this one. See if I can get some of that glare off. But this with Leroy Vinegar, Tricky Lofton, Bobby Hutcherson, Wilbur Brown, and Frank Strazieri, on Pacific Jazz Records. It's like a 1962, I believe, release. It's a stereo press original. Great stuff, again, on Pacific Jazz. It's a wonderful album. I can't recommend it enough. It's one of those ones that you're probably going to not know that much about unless you're like deep in it in terms of jazz. But of course, Ron Jefferson on drums, Tricky Lofton on trombone, Wilbur Brown on tenor, Bobby Hutcherson on vibes, Frank Strazieri on piano, and Leroy Vinegar on bass. But yeah, guys, phenomenal album. If you see it, time to jump on it. Highly recommend it. Great stuff. Cool ass album cover, cool ass lineup, bomb ass lineup actually. Definitely great record for jazz percussion. Get it into your life. And of course this one also, man, this is I'm doing some massive carnage. This one, get it. Whew. Man, I got a mess to clean up after this video. Doesn't that look better? Anyway. I'd love to tell you guys that I would stop beating that drum someday, but you guys keep your records in the shrink all you want. But if you want them to stay in shrink forever, don't sell them to me. Next up, the Red Garland Quintet with John Coltrane. Dig it. It's on Prestige. There is no such thing as a bad Red Garland record. That's just it. That's just all there is. And then, of course, there's John Coltrane on the record, who is your boy's all-time favorite jazz musician. Blue Trinant, great stuff. Another record that I got from Slow Records, Red Garland on piano, John Coltrane tenor, Donald Byrd on trumpet, George Joyner on bass, Arthur Taylor on the sticks, Paul Chambers on bass, on A-side track 2. So you got, probably the greatest jazz bassist of all time on the album. You got Arthur Taylor, probably top 5 or 5 to 10 jazz drummer of all time, on the album. You got Donald Byrd, top 5 trumpeter for me. You got John Coltrane, the GOAT for me, and then you got Red Garland, top 5 jazz pianists for me. You can't go wrong. It's stellar. It's a phenomenal album. Next up, really, really good shout out to my boy Marcus for this one. He was digging around in one of his local record stores in DC, and I guess he had remembered from one of my conversations with him that I didn't have this album, but he found it digging in the bins, messaged me, told me about this super crisp copy of the album he just found, asked me did he want me to snag it, and of course I time-to jumped on it. You guys know how I will. Moondog, self-titled, original, super clean, super crispy copy. Columbia Masterworks, original stereos flat out. Moondog, guys, if you guys aren't familiar, very underappreciated. Very underappreciated. Genius. Awesome. I don't know any other way to put it. I'm very, very thrilled to have this in my collection. Very experimental type jazz, a lot of different shit going on here. All of it's awesome. There is no other way to say it, honestly. And I can't even begin to tell you guys how thrilled I am to have it. Dog. Thanks, Marcus. I appreciate you, buddy. Next up, from my boy Jason at the Jazz Basement, the next 2, actually, is number 1 is Nuke's Time, Sonny Rollins. So not too long ago, my boy Jason got an original mono copy of this album, one that I had been wanting for years in original format. Had been holding out for it. Bastard beat me to it. Jason, if you're watching this, buddy, cheers. Love you. Thank you for sending me this one. I really appreciate it. But I look for years. He grabs it on the spot, but nice enough to send me his Blue Label Black B reissue. I can't even really begin to tell you once again, buddy, just how much I really appreciate it. It's Sonny Rollins, top 3 saxophonist of all time, in my opinion, with Wynton Kelly on keys, Doug Watkins on bass, and Philly Joe Jones on the sticks. It's a no-brainer. You have to buy it, honestly. It's a can't miss type deal. And one of these days, I hope to have an original mono or even original stereo copy. Till then, this will do me just fine, especially if it was gifted to me by one of my good friends in vinyl, Jason. My dude, thoroughly appreciate you. You know that. And beer's on me when I come visit you in DC, or when you come visit me here. Either way about it. Thank you, man. Really appreciate it. Next up, also from my boy Jason in the Jazz Basement, is Tawheed Pharoah Sanders. Jason had walked into one of the DC shops. Jason, you can correct me in the comments, buddy, if you're watching. I think it was HR Records in DC. And he had just asked me, hey, man, anybody in particular looking for anything in particular? I'm like, you know what? I've been really on a Pharoah Sanders kick lately. And then a few minutes later, he sends me this sealed, a photo of the sealed stereo copy, Pharoah Sanders Tawheed. And obviously, I went ahead and had him pick that up over me. But this has been sitting in my house for a little while now, waiting for me to get around to it. And the very first time I opened it, I wanted it to be not only for you guys, but especially for Jason, for you guys to see. And then obviously I'm going to throw it on my platter later tonight. It is sealed, guys. No way of knowing exactly which pressing it is. My guess would be it might be a green label. I don't know. But we're going to find out together. Me, Jason, those of you who tolerate my antics, going to find out together. Very first one to open this, guys. That's awesome. So cool. Great stuff. Let's listen to this for the first time. Ooh. Love that crisp pop. First time you open Impulse Gatefold. No, I'm off on that one. Not the green. It's the blue. It's like the sky label. But it's mint, obviously. I just pulled it out of the plastic and the shrink wrap and everything like that right in front of you guys. I usually like to do that. I like to save that for right before I get ready to play one. So I'll make sure I definitely play it tonight. And then once again, thank you to my boy Jason at the Jazz Basement. You guys should definitely follow his channel. Great stuff, great content. I'll drop a link in the description. Thanks, Jason. Next up, I'm down to my final couple here. Next up is one that's a Juju. Man, it's on Blackfire Records. All right. So, as you guys can see, there's some damage down here. Appears to be like water damage type stuff down here on the bottom of the cover. My boy Marcus, this was his original copy. And then he upgraded. He got a copy with a better cover. The vinyl is damn near mint, but the cover for some reason. But what's cool about this one is Plunky from Oneness of Juju, who's still with us, still rocking it. It resides in the Richmond area where my boy Marcus does, and he is a personal friend. So not only did he sell me his old copy, but he got Plunky personally to autograph it for me. It's not personalized with my name on it or anything, but it is for me, and it's got the date to see 2021 down here. So, guys, it's phenomenal, funky ass, phenomenal jazz, soulful vocals, everything. It's an absolutely phenomenal record. And if you have a chance, I know there's been some reissues popping up lately, especially if you live in like the Richmond, the DC area, whatever. Jason, my boy, the Jazz Basement, I know has been, kind of delving into Oneness of Juju lately. Jason, my boy, my man, I don't even know if I've told you about this. I've been kind of hoping to like surprise you with it when I popped it up in the video. But very, very excited to have this. And then finally, to close out the video, it's one that came from my boy Tree. Supreme Love here in YouTube community or whatever. Highly recommend you check his channel out. It's first stereo pressing of Ike Quebec's It Might As Well Be Spring. He had grabbed one, snagged one for a decent amount earlier this year, undisclosed because it's a personal transaction between he and I, so I won't disclose an amount. He snagged a copy, listened to it, and he likes it, but it's not one that's his usual preferred lane. He knows how much I like it though. He knows I had like a 90s or 2000s reissue. Told me if I ever wanted it or whatever, maybe he and I could work something out. I made him an offer. He did not refuse, and then here we are. But showed up at my house yesterday, splat out, original stereo pressing again. The lineup, of course, Ike Quebec on tenor, Freddie Roach on organ, Milt Hinton on bass, Al Herwood on drums. Guys, it's, to me, a Mortal Jazz record. It's a Grail type stuff. It's more suitable, I would think, in my opinion, for late night type listening. But it's an amazing record. I can't even begin to tell you how happy I am to have it. And this is you guys, hear me bitch about a couple of things on here. One, shrink wrap, and why I don't understand why people keep it on. That's one. And number two are these covers. See, every time they whoop my ass. Look at it. Struggling because I don't get their purpose. Whatever. But why I'm going to keep this one is because my boy Tree knows how much I hate him, and left a note, hey buddy, I know you just love these Japanese sleeves, so only the best for you, brother. Enjoy the tunes, aka the best, Chris. Aka Tree, being sarcastic. Yeah, I hate him, but I'm going to keep that one because it's funny, and it reminds me of the solid you did for me, buddy. But that's it for my most recent arrivals. Thank you to my boy Jason from Jazz Basement, my boy Tree from Supreme Love. Thank you guys. Thank you to my boy Marcus for putting so many of these in my hands. I really appreciate you all. Thank you so much. Hope you guys all have a wonderful weekend. Until next time, till next video. Keep dropping that video, guys.